everyone. Thanks for joining us again. As you can see, we have a little guest.
Hey.
We have River, and we also have
Thanks.
Teresa Tuttle with Dogs in Action.
Down.
Oh my gosh,
Thank you.
she's such a good girl. What kind of dog is she?
Border Collie.
Border Collie. Okay, so we have River the Border Collie with us. She's going to show us a lot of cool tricks that maybe some of you pet owners could take home with you. But first, let's talk about Dogs in Action real quick, Teresa. So Dogs in Action, what exactly is it?
We are a training facility. We have a training center in Odessa. I train both in-home and group classes in Midland and Odessa. So, well, that's not true. Training centers in Odessa, so group classes are there.
Okay.
But I do go in-home to places. Most of my clients are in Midland, in-home in Odessa. So that's what we do.
And so I always was under the impression that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So how true is that, if it's true at all?
You can.
Okay.
Teaching an older dog new tricks is a little harder, yes, because it does take them a little longer to process. They have a lifelong behavior that is a habit, just like us. So when you teach them, it does take a little bit longer to get them past that habit and the habituation of that particular behavior. But yeah, they can be patience and time.
Yeah, so dogs have brains that's always, brains for molding, I guess you could say. When is an ideal time to actually start training and teaching your dog tricks and things
Really
of
and
that
truly
nature?
from the time you get them, from puppyhood
Okay.
up. But if you don't get that, if you get a rescue at 6 months or 8 months or 2 years, they can still be trained.
Okay, perfect. So when I first started training my Doxies, I always found, okay, she's not listening to me. I'm like, this dog is just not listening to me. I don't know if it's just because it's the breed. So I guess what would you say for dogs that don't really seem like they're motivated? What would be the reasoning behind that?
Well, first of all, you have to find the motivator.
Okay.
And some dogs it's toys, some dogs it's food, some dogs it's sniffing, some dogs it's visiting other people. You have to find the thing that motivates that dog over everything else. And then you use it consistently. You don't be stingy. 90% of dogs are motivated by food.
Okay.
But don't be stingy with the treats, man.
They love
One
their
treat, here's your one. Do it forever.
Okay.
Doesn't work that way.
And so you gave me a couple of I guess, advice. So one of the things that you said is dog training isn't rocket science, but it's something that takes practice. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. It's not, it doesn't take, it does take knowledge. It does take some basic understanding of dog behavior and learning theory, but it doesn't, that's my job. If you want help, that's what I'm here for. But it does take consistency and practice. So the more you practice, the more your dog is going to learn, the more you're going to learn.
And you have to have patience too.
Always. I mean, that's patience with anyone or anything you're trying to teach something new to.
And so the other thing as well is a good teacher is constantly learning. So not only are the dogs learning, but the humans are as well.
100%. When you stop learning, when you get to a certain level, then your dog stops with you. If you never, I don't stop learning. I'm constantly taking classes online or in person. I am learning constantly, whether it's webinars or books, or I'm always learning. So I want to talk about this for just a second, but dog training is unregulated, which means anybody who taught their dog to sit once can say they're a dog trainer. That doesn't mean that they know what they're doing. That just means that they gave themselves a title. Dog training doesn't take any kind of education. You don't have to be educated to do it. I, though, have decided that I want to be the best I can at what I'm doing, so I continue my education. I continue to stay educated and current on basic science learning. So really, it's really important that you do check who your trainers are. If they don't have any letters behind their names, look for somebody who does.
Okay. Or just call you.
Or call me. Okay. Or me, right?
What can people know when it comes to understanding a dog's body language? Because sometimes if I look at a dog, I'm like, oh, she's wagging her tail. Obviously, she's happy. But that could be, misinterpreted, right?
Absolutely. And it can be, because body language, the dogs are silent. By the time they growl or bark, really bark is first, growl is second. Riv. Place. Down. Thank you. Good girl. Children and dogs. Anyway, by the time the dog, we understand that they're communicating the whole time, but it's very often, we misinterpret that. That's why bites happen. because a tail wag doesn't always mean a happy dog. It depends on where the tail is located in position to the back. Is it up high? Is it a metronome? Is it down low? Is it a helicopter? Is the tail wag fast? Is it slow? With that goes along the face. Is the mouth tight and closed? Are the ears forward? Do they have frown lines across their forehead? Are they puckered at the lips? Those things are warning signals, and that's before a bite.
I see.
You don't always get a growl and you don't always get a bark. Sometimes it's just a bite.
So let's talk a little bit about service dogs. And I feel like most of the people in the community here are very respectful when it comes to service dogs. But sometimes we can have people who go up and start petting dogs, and that's not really what you do. What is the proper thing to do when you see either an emotional support animal or a therapy dog?
Ignore them. And, well, service dogs, ignore them. They are there for the person that they're with. They are medical equipment, y'all. If we interrupt that, the dog could miss something. The dogs are trained for epilepsy, blood sugar, PTSD, anxiety, stress. And so I do train service dogs through TADSA, and we do practice in public, and people sometimes don't understand that we're there so the dog can get work in public without the public interfering in the training. And sometimes they do. Sometimes it's not just necessarily they want a pet, but I did have somebody stomp at one of my clients in the store, startled the puppy. I mean, it's a young dog. She's just a little over a year. So that was very scary for her. So please, if you see someone working in public, whether they're training or whether their dog is with them and working, ignore them. Please do not interfere with them. The dog is doing a job.
Good advice. And so we have River here.
River is wandering around the set.
I know, she's just curious. She's never been to the News West 9 studios.
Yeah. And I'm not rewarding enough because she needs more rewards than this to stay here. Okay, so let's talk about that for just a second.
Yeah.
I'm rewarding her because I really want her to hang out here, but this is all new to her, so it is hard for her to just lay there and do nothing when we're standing here talking. She doesn't understand. It's not fun for her.
Yeah, she got TV ready, so she kind of was like prepared for
right.
today.
So I will toss treats occasionally, so she will want to hang out there. The more you reinforce the behavior, the more it will repeat.
And let's talk a little bit about dog emotions too. Mm-hmm. So dogs can really feel a plethora of different things. We actually have a full screen that we can pull up. But I feel like this kind of goes along with the things that we were talking about. And so kind of elaborate on this.
Sure. Dogs, we've learned so much in the last 5 years. Dogs can feel emotion just like we do. We don't see it because they don't express it the same way, but they are unable to regulate their emotions sometimes, which is why you get those big feelings when your dog is barking at another dog or is barking at people or is frightened. So that's part of those big feelings, and we need to help them through it. They can be overwhelmed. They seek connection with us. So if your dog is overwhelmed, sometimes they will come in and want to be closer to you. I want you to know it's okay to pet your dog, and it's okay to reassure your dog everything's fine. You cannot reinforce fear. It's not possible. Imagine being terrified by spiders or a spider and somebody's going, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. That's not going to make you less scared or more scared of spiders. Mm-hmm. Dogs get distracted. Squirrels are a big distraction. They're just, imagine, you hear these little big fluffy tails that look like a toy to them running up a tree. That's a big distraction. So we have to work through all of those things when we're working with our dogs.
And I feel like distraction is like one thing that's can be a little confusing as far as, oh, this dog isn't stubborn. Maybe she's a little bit distracted.
Exactly. I work with puppies a lot too, mm-hmm. Or even this could be a 1-year-old dog. But when the dog stops taking treats and stops listening in that moment, I'm going to look around and figure out what's going on. Why is this dog no longer able to focus on me? 90% of the time they need to go to the bathroom. And instead of punishing them for not listening, I take them outside. And there you go.
And one of the things that I'm curious to know, does it matter the certain ways you say no to a dog? Is it?
Oh, I love that. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, because I mean, I've heard that, oh, you can't say or you don't say no, you say
So if you think about it, no is a contextual word. Without context, it has no meaning. So if we say no to her, without giving her any more, without expounding on that, and I can't because we don't speak the same language, I can't explain why the no happens. No is just an interrupter at best. People will say my dog understands no. I'm going to tell you your dog doesn't. It's just an interrupter. You interrupted the thought process, but you didn't teach your dog anything. So instead of saying no, find something that's incompatible with a behavior that's happening you don't like, and you keep saying no. Find a behavior that's incompatible with that and teach it, and then say yes, because yes actually does have meaning, because yes is always followed by one of these. Yes.
And dogs are mostly, they're motivated by treats, which will kind of move things along
Right.
when you're training.
Not all dogs. Some dogs are not, and treats can become aversive if it's been done in a way that has been unpleasant for the dog. Then the dog can't take treats. If a dog is over threshold, if a dog is overstressed, they can't take treats. In that moment, you need to take your dog out of that situation, give them more space, and try again. But I hear this a lot, my dog won't take food. Your dog won't take food in that environment. Mm-hmm. But your dog will take food when it eats because it has to or it won't survive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it will take food.
So let's talk a little bit about dogs that are at home all day while you're at work. What kind of advice would you give to pet owners, especially if the dog has, let's say, separation anxiety?
That's when you call a professional, because you're not going to get through that without the help of somebody that knows how to process that. I know we have to leave our dogs. We have jobs that we have to get paid, and we have to pay for the food for our dogs. Yeah. So, but you need help. If they're destructive, they're eating walls, they're breaking out of their crates. I know of dogs that have broken through windows to get out because they're so panicked. So you need help. And with that, you probably need a vet, possibly a vet behaviorist. We might look at medication to help your dog process and get used to you being out and gone. But we build it in small increments.
So is it possible to leave your dog at home for the entire shift you're working, let's say, the whole 8 hours, or?
As long as it has no anxiety, absolutely. Mine are home for, at times, 8 hours. But I have a doggy door, so they go in and out as they please. But puppies can stay by themselves for about 4 hours before they need a break and need to go outside. So you need to when you get a puppy, you should have a plan in place. Somebody's coming home at lunch, still let the puppy out to go to the bathroom, and then again in the evening, let the puppy go to the bathroom.
And what about for people who leave the puppy pads at home for the dogs? Is that a good idea, or is that a bad idea?
I'm not a big fan of the puppy pads, only because it teaches the dog to go inside. But if that's all you can do, then that's all you can do, and that's what you have to do. So yeah, but then the puppy tears up the puppy pads. Then you have puppy pads torn up and puppy poo and pee everywhere. So yeah. I don't know. It's a crapshoot in that point. But there are other things we can do other than puppy pads. And if you just reach out, we can talk about an X pen. So your puppy has space where it's not crated, but it has a much bigger area to move in, where you have toys and you have enrichment, and then you have a puppy pad. So it's not so tempting to tear up the puppy pad because it has other things to do opposed to tearing that up.
So I've seen people who crate their dogs the entire day, yes. And it makes me so sad. But what kind of advice would you give to people who crate their dogs all day while they're at work?
Sometimes that's all you can do. It's not ideal, and you want to move away from that in time, but it keeps your dog safe, because your dog can't eat the walls or plugs or get into trouble. But in those times, you need to give your dog enrichment. You have to plan for when that dog's out of the crate. When you're home, that dog is out of the crate, and you guys spend a lot of time doing together things.
I see. Well, let's start doing the tricks now. So one of the things that I know a lot of dog owners do when they first get a dog, leash walking. So show me some tips that you would give to dog owners when they're starting to.
The first thing, I would start inside, in the house. This is string cheese, folks. I'm going to put her leash on her.
Okay.
Just so we can show what it looks like with a leash. Hi, puppies. Yeah. So in the beginning, we're going to start, and it doesn't matter whether your dog is on your right or on your left. Left is just an obedience competition thing. It has no value in real life. And your dog shouldn't have to be on a perfect heel. Your dog should just not be pulling your arm out of the socket. Are you ready? Okay, with me. Here. Okay. Here. Yes. So I'm going to step. Yes. And I'm going to reward. Yes. And I'm going to hear, you hear me say yes? Yes. Because I want her to know what she did was right. Yes.
So is that the key word? That's
my marker. That is an indicator she did something right. Ready? Yes.
So does that have to be consistent? So
Yes.
What if you say awesome?
Nope. Yes has to be consistent.
Okay.
Because yes is the indicator. If you've heard of clicker training, and most of you have, then you know that that is a marker that to let the dog know they got something right. Yes. Now I'm going to take 2 steps. Ready? Yes.
So what about puppies
Yes.
when they're starting to do leash training? When I first got mine, he would run around my legs.
Right. So in the beginning, humans have a tendency to want to pull the dog. Don't. Put the leash on, let the puppy drag the leash in the beginning. Then you're going to get treats out, and you guys are going to walk the same direction, but with lots of rewards, lots of reinforcement as you go. Can you get that? Yes. Good girl. Yes. So leashes don't have any value or meaning if we don't teach them, and we can't just put it on them and then drag the puppy where we want it to go. You are setting your dog up to pull without fail. Yes.
And so you mentioned
Ready?
the importance of having a harness instead of a leash, right?
Yes.
Or
Harnesses
a
do
a
not.
collar.
Harnesses do not increase pulling. And I know you hear that, and you'll read it on the internet. It's a lie. What increases pulling is not teaching them not to pull. I use a harness because the trachea for the dog is right across the neck. Any pulling right here is going to damage that trachea. I don't want that. I want my dog safe. It's right over your head. Get it. So if they do pull, I don't want any damage. And it doesn't take much to damage that trachea, especially with small dogs.
Gotcha.
Ready? Here. With me. I'm not going there.
How old is Rivers? Because
River's 11.
She's 11, and I was thinking that she was a puppy.
Yes. So now we can go further without the reward. It says frequently. Yes. Yes. Good.
Okay, so hope you guys got some
Did you get
tips.
some of that?
Yeah.
You
Hope
okay
you guys
with
got
what we
some
got?
tips from that. So use a harness and one step at a time, and always be sure to
Place.
reward your dog as well.
Down.
So you train a lot of dogs here
Mm-hmm.
in West Texas. What is, I guess, the easiest trick that owners can learn first?
Sit. Most dogs
Sit.
learn to sit really, really quick because whether we think about it or not, we're reinforcing that. Most of us know to use treats to get a dog to sit. And then after that, we've rewarded it so much, the dog has learned sit is really easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they sit, you usually pet them or whatever when treats are gone. But we don't realize how often or how much we're rewarding that in the beginning. So that has a really high rate of reinforcement. And then you get to down and your dog downs and you go, oh good, here's a treat. And then you don't reward again. So down is not as fluent as sit. Sit is a much more fluent behavior because it's been reinforced enough.
And so could you have her display some of the...
Sure, River, come. Sit. Yes, down. Sit. That's hide. Say, I don't want to sit, I'm going to hide. Yes, good sit, good girl. Oh, I threw it, but it fell. That was a bad throw, man. River, down, hide,
Aww.
sit. That's dead. She forgets her tail shouldn't wag when she's dead. Yeah. Bang.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And so the thing about River is that she is a therapy dog, so we need to hire her.
Right.
Here at News West 9.
We can
but,
do that.
But yes, but she is a therapy dog. So what is her, what does she do?
Her role as a therapy dog is to bring comfort to the people other than me. I don't need the comfort. She's bringing comfort to the people around her. So that's a therapy dog's job, is to work with everybody. Service dogs only work with their handler. Therapy dogs work with everybody else. So.
And she does such a great job. And she's so cuddly, which makes it 10 times better for the therapy.
It does. You don't want a non-cuddly dog for a therapy dog, right?
I will advocate 1,000% to have a dog as your therapist. Okay, so we went over some of the easiest tricks. What is the most complex trick that you
All right, we're gonna try this.
Okay.
Let me get her
Here,
rings.
I'll get it for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so these are the little rings that you give to toddlers, but they also work as a great tool for dogs as well.
They do. So I'm going to go back to dogs don't generalize. And that being said, down. She's in a new place. This is not a behavior that she does often outside of home. So it may take a little bit of time. So we just need to be patient, and we're going to reward her frequently for this if she struggles at all. Okay. Right, ready? So I'm just going to throw them around. That was nice. Nice throw. You can do it. You didn't even try. I'm going to give you a treat for effort, but try one more time. Yes. There you go. That was good. Ready? Don't go don't go get another color just because that one didn't work. Yes.
Wow.
That was good. Yes. That was very good. Yes.
That is so impressive.
That was very good. Let's try it one more time. See if we can get it a little bit better, a little more fluent. I figured that was going to be a problem on the floor. Really? Blue is your issue? Yes, thank you. Good dog. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Good girl.
So how do you train dogs to get that right?
Here. I shaped this behavior. Shaping is weighting its small approximation of a behavior. So the first thing I did is shaped her, put it in, to interact with the rings. That may have been looking at the rings. It could have been touching, nosing the rings, pawing the rings. Yes. And then we worked up to picking up the rings, mouthing the rings, and then we introduced the spindle. Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
there you go. Good girl. Introduce the spindle, and then the interaction with the spindle. Putting it on to this. We put it here because it rocks back and forth, and it does definitely make it harder. Mm-hmm. But that's how we did it.
On average, how long does it take for dogs to get this right?
Overall, over about 3 weeks, it took me 45 minutes. But I did it over 3 weeks at 2 or 3 minutes at a time. So it was just
Consistency.
yeah. And not, I mean, in the beginning, there was a whole lot of rewards for just looking at these things. Just looking at this, down, hey, down, thank you. Looking at the rings and then interacting with the rings. And then of course, giving her the rings and just helping her understand they go on the spindle. Anytime she got near it, it was a reward, so.
And why is teaching a dog complex tricks like this important?
Is it important for their?
Because don't they have to like they have to engage with, it's like the snuffle mats, right?
Right. It's important in the fact that they get enrichment, and it's something fun to do with your dog. It isn't about, is this a life lesson skill? No. Is she gonna need this to survive? No, she won't. So this is just for fun.
Okay.
It's just, I have a very bright dog, and we wanted to teach her something more complex, and this was complex.
Yeah.
So that's why this became a thing, but she can also match to sample. If I have pictures down, I have 3 pictures, 2 on the ground, 1 I'm holding, I can ask her to match and she'll go to the picture I'm holding and touch it.
Interesting.
So again, complex behaviors, but it's just something fun to do.
So can she color match as well?
She cannot.
Okay.
She can color, she can see the yellows and the blues, but the orange and the yellow and the green and the blue all look the same to her.
Interesting.
Dogs are colorblind, but not in the way that we think. They don't see black and white. They see color, but they don't see it the same way we see it.
That seems to be a misconception that dogs can see in black and white.
It is.
Okay.
It is. Huge misconception. But I think that's just because nobody's ever explained blues and yellows are very clear, but green can look a lot like blue and yellow can look like orange. So in this case, she can't differentiate between those. If it were only blues and the yellows, she'd be fine.
And so so she's 11, right?
Uh-huh.
So are you still teaching her new tricks?
Sure. Yeah. We taught her be a bear, which she stands up and walks, she hops on her back paws. High five, those are all new tricks.
Can we do that?
Sure. River, here. And I need a treat in my hand for that because it's not something she's fluent at home, but again, here is different. So, okay, ready? Be a bear. Be a bear. Be a bear. Come on, up. Be a bear. Yeah, there you go.
Oh my gosh.
Good girl.
So cute.
Good girl. Place. Down. Thank you.
Oh, she's going to be a superstar by the end of this, by the way. I'm just letting you know. A lot of people are going to be big fans of River.
She is. She's such a fun dog to train. But remember, this is 11 years of not just training, but of a bond and a relationship. It's just not a dog. She's my family. She's my friend.
I love that so much.
So that your dog should be. It should never be that they're just a dog. You brought them into your home for what reason? Most of the time because we want that companionship. But then we forget or we get annoyed because the dog is being a dog. And unless we teach them how to coexist with us, they're going to continue to be annoying.
Dogs will be dogs.
Dogs are going to be dogs, and humans are going to be
Yes.
humans. And we are stubborn sometimes. We get stuck in our ways, and we forget that, we have to teach them. They're not born knowing how to live with us. They're born knowing how to be a dog, but not how to live with us.
What would you say for anyone who has a dog, but they say, oh, he stays outside, he never comes inside because we don't believe in having dogs on the couch. So that's our outside dog, but we have our inside dogs. Because I hear that quite a lot.
That's a really tough one for me. I've never had dogs that lived outside, so for me, it's not something I understand or can relate to. I never experienced it. If that's the case, I would tell you that dogs are companion animals. They've spent thousands of years domesticating with us, living in caves, living by our campsites. And when we isolate them in the backyard, we have a whole series of problems we're not going to like. The minute you come out the back door, they're jumping at you and they're going to knock you down because they're so excited to see you. They dig. They jump the fence, they get out, all because they're isolated. And that's not cats are happy being free and they come and visit on their terms, but dogs are just so much more bonded to humans and that relationship that they have with us. So I would say bring your dog inside. If you don't want it on the couch, call me. I mean, there are things we can do to teach your dog to be inside within your boundaries and within your rules.
Yeah.
So
Always some good advice. Okay, and I'm glad you kind of mentioned the jumping part because my dog still jumps and she has long nails too. So
scratches.
I don't know how to handle that.
Okay.
So, besides calling you, I mean, is there
We're
something that
yes,
people
there's some
can do?
really easy things to do. So I'm going to use River again.
Okay.
I'm going to call her to me. I'm going to move this out of the way so she doesn't think she has to interact with it. All right, River, come. Toss treats down. When she's got her head down, she cannot jump. Yes. Yes.
And that's it? That will eventually teach
Yes.
them to.
And then when she looks up at me, I'm going to ask for sit or down. That's fine. I don't care. And I'm going to reward her for that behavior. I'm going to reward her from hand for that behavior. Sit. Yes. Or that doesn't fall out of her mouth. You really need to keep those inside. Here. Sit. Yes. Okay, ready? Ready, 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 ready. Get it. Toss treats down. We're going to toss 5 treats down to every one you give them to mouth from hand, okay? So the dog learns that every time they see me, I'm going to be doing that. And they're going to be looking for those as opposed to jumping up.
So would it be smart to have treats on you when you're coming back, let's say from work?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you're coming in from the garage, you're coming in from the car, coming in from the carport, coming in from the car.
Okay.
Okay, place. Down. Thank you. Cheerios are a great treat, but then I use these are called toppers, and they're just freeze-dried beef with vegetables, or they have chicken with vegetables, or they have pork with vegetables. They're freeze-dried, so they're never going to get old or stale, and I keep them in a bowl. As I walk in, I can pick them up and toss them down. Or I keep them in the garage in a bowl. As I walk in, I can take a handful and take them in and toss them on the ground.
So it's always within arm's reach.
It's always within arm's reach.
Okay.
As you first come through the door, which is the most exciting part of the day.
Yeah.
Right? Not when you've been there for 3 hours. They don't care anymore.
Yeah.
They still love you, but not enough to jump on you.
That's good to know. Well, then I'm going to try that with my dogs.
Okay, place.
And as you heard earlier, you can always teach an old dog new tricks.
Absolutely.
What is the biggest misconception that you
Hey,
hear from some of the people that you work with?
That punishment is necessary when it is not. You don't need to punish your dog to teach them. Hey, what are you looking for? Place? You forgot what you were doing, huh? You're old, I know what happens. Down. Thank you. Punishment is not necessary to train. That is not a punishable offense. So she got up. She's in a new place. There are trainers who would tell you to punish that. I disagree. I'm going to teach her what I want, and I'm going to reward her for doing the things that I'm asking her to do in a new environment. Punishment is more reinforcing to the punisher because it's quick and to the point for us, and it stops the behavior in that moment, but it doesn't teach a new behavior, and it's not going to stop the behavior long term. The behavior will come back, and sometimes it'll fall out, which could be aggression, anxiety, fear. So punishment isn't necessary to train.
So let's talk about dogs in action real quick. Whenever you are working with new clients, where do you do your training? Is it at a designated place, or are you mobile as well?
It depends. I'm mobile. If they need me to come to their home and work with their dog in their home, and sometimes there are dogs that are really very fearful and can't function in the training center, so I go to them and work in their home. Or their mobility issue, they need me to come to them because they can't come to me. But if they want to come to the training center, we have that too. So there we have a lot of room with no distractions, but it is a new environment to the dog, so it will be distracting in the beginning.
And on average, how long do you work with people?
Usually,
like, where the dogs are pretty comfortable, and I mean, they're pretty much good to go.
It depends on the owner. I come in and I work with the dog in the beginning, but I transfer everything I'm doing over to the person who lives with the dog. You live with the dog 24/7. You need to be one teaching the dog. So it's homework that I'm going to give you to work with your dog, but it's short sessions. I want you to work 3 minutes 4 or 5 times a day. So I'll come and work an hour, but I don't want you working an hour with your dog. Your dog's going to get bored and think you're crazy and not want to do anything with you. So I want you to work 3 or 4 times a day for 3 minutes and be done.
And so how can people reach out if they're interested in having you come to their homes or training their dogs?
We have a website, dogsinaction.com,
Okay.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, you can look me up on Google.
Okay, wonderful. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
You know, just kindness. Just be kind. Don't assume that your dog is doing something to spite you or because your dog is angry with you. Those are human things. And stop looking at it from our perspective and try to put yourself in theirs and learn more about how they react and why they're doing things. Dogs do not show guilt. I'm going to point that out. And there have been multiple studies done on this one thing, and it's proven time and time again. What you see when you think it's guilt, it's actually appeasement. A dog that is afraid. Your dog is now fearful of you, and their body language is simply saying, please don't hurt me. So if your dog gets into the trash, that's on you. You left the trash out. Put it away so the dog can't get it. If your puppy potties in the floor, that's on you. They don't have opposable thumbs. Make sure you get them out more frequently. On my website, I have a flow chart for potty training. I have a flow chart for puppy biting because puppies do bite hard and they have really sharp teeth. One thing I want you to understand is when puppy bites harder than normal, they're tired. It's time for a nap. Help them take a nap. Put them somewhere where they can quietly rest. Just learn more about your dog. That being said, there are certain places you don't want to learn about your dog because they're wrong. So be careful where you learn.
So maybe learn from Dogs in Action
How about,
here.
Yeah, learn from me. Or I can send you to other websites that I approve of.
Yes. I always heard the phrase dogs are people too, and I think that's very true.
They are. They have their own genetic code, but that makes them unique, and it makes us love them, and it makes them incredible partners and companions because they love us unconditionally, and you're not going to get that anywhere else.
Yeah, and I can tell River loves you unconditionally as well, and we love her too. So, all right, Teresa Tuttle with Dogs in Action, and we're going to link all her information so that you can contact her if you're interested in training your dogs, which you should, because I'm going to reach out to you as well. Let's do can we do a little high five as we
Sure. Do you want a high five? You want?
Yeah.
Okay, hold your
River.
hand up.
River,
Come. High five. Ask her. Just over here. Tell her high five.
high five. River,
Here.
River, high five. Can you high five?
Oh, yeah, there you are. Come on, you can do
Can
it.
you high five?
Yay!
Oh, thank you.
Good girl. Yes. They have never had to high five somebody they didn't know. Good girl. Yeah. That was very nice.
That was good.
All right. That was fun.
Yeah.